Let's break the mold and stop waiting for the other shoe to drop. Welcome to Stanley on 7. We're here until it's here.
All right, welcome back. This is Stanley on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast. I'm Ryan Carter. My co-host happens to be on vacation, South Florida, looking the part as well. King, how is the weather there? The vitamin D, you soaking it up?
It's not great today, but I was awakened to the sound of a leaf blower clearing a green behind me. I don't know what hole this is, but a couple guys chipping behind me, so I have no complaints today, Mr. Carter.
Well, what I love about it is it illustrates that the sun came up, and guess what? The sun has come up once again on the Minnesota Wild season. You had people jump off the bandwagon. Hey, this, we're not exclusive here. Did anybody in the text thread jump back on and say, "Hey, wow, that was a good game"? Like, tell us about the thread.
It was discussed last night on the thread. There was a little bit of. He actually said, "I never said I didn't like them." That was his line. I never said I didn't like them. I just think he said, "I still believe we need to have one more big guy on the back end." That was kind of his response. But he took some licks last night. I watched the game last night in Florida here. Oh my God. Did it feel good to see Foligno shaking his gloves when he scores? He goes almost like he's shaking the key at a college football game. Fiala looked handsome. Eck was smiling again. We're back, baby.
Yeah, the band was back together, and we should get into that because it did seem like the band got back together. Jordan Greenway healthy, then all of a sudden the whole Wild roster is healthy. But that line, man, it just makes a difference when the three of them are out there together. And I don't know that you can pinpoint, or I can't pinpoint exactly what it is that makes the three of them mesh. And I'm talking Eriksson, Eck, Foligno, and Greenway, but they were great. I love the way Foligno started the game. And you're talking about after he scored, right? When the hands are shaking,
yeah,
like, hallelujah. I think he actually gave Matt Dumba a little kiss there too. Did you see that on the celebration? Like, pulls him in tight, nice little kiss on the cheek, like happy to have you back kind of thing.
And you called it. You told me. I talked to you earlier in the day. You said, "Hey, backup goaltender, full lineup, swag meter is back, the dimmer switch is off. Let's LFG. Let's get going here, boys." And it felt good. It was like a big whitehead that finally popped.
And two thoughts on that. So it's crazy how the Wild go from being that team that all of a sudden people are comfortable playing their backup against, like they became the Arizona Coyotes, right? Like, hey, you're going to play a team that stinks. Let's give our number one goaltender a rest here because the schedule's getting tight, and let's play the backup. I don't think Shesterkin was hurt. I don't know. Maybe he was ill. There could have been a reason why he didn't play, but for whatever reason, the Rangers, with plenty of rest, elected not to go with him, and the Wild took full advantage. But again, back to Foligno, in getting pushed around, I love the fact that he went out and laid a big hit on Reeves early in the game. I think that just set the tone for everybody. Like, hey, and I think Reeves might be the tougher customer there when it comes to fighting Marcus and Reeves. If it came right down to exchanging blows, like I'd put my money on Reeves. But the fact that Marcus goes out there, lays that hit, puts it on the line, and says, "Doesn't matter what happens tonight, guys. This is what we're doing." Loved it, and I think that sent a message.
Didn't it seem like he stunned him too? So I watched that hit a few times. It was almost like Revo needed to go to the quiet room. Like when he first got hit, his expression was like he didn't know where he was, and then he started to look for his stick. But I think he got him good. I don't know exactly where he got him, but it looked like Men in Black, just they flashed the light and he didn't know what was going on there for a second. That's what I saw.
Yeah, no, I think so too. But the other thing that I think it did is it really quieted Reeves down. I think a lot of times that the response from somebody like Reeves can be like, all right, I'm going to run around now. That wasn't the case, and Reeves was really a non-factor. And that was another story on the Ranger game, is how their stars were absolute non-factors. Kreider's second in the NHL, 38 goals. You didn't notice him. Panarin leads their team in points. I think he had one shot through 2 periods. Don't know what he finished with. And then the back end, Adam Fox, they turned him into a turnover machine. Like, you won the Norris Trophy last year as the league's best offensive defenseman. You think he'd be able to move a puck and hit somebody's tape? No chance, right? He's just a turnover machine while they're all over him.
As dispenser. Here's the thing that was weird about the Rangers last night. I don't think I've seen a more courteous, polite group of gentlemen come to town in a long time. They had no fight in them. They just look like, don't they have, isn't Lemieux on that team? Like the second generation rat? I mean, I've never seen a group of guys just sort of comfortable punching their ticket and spinning back to Manhattan or wherever they're headed. It was, I don't know, they seem soft as, double ply.
Well, maybe that's why Sean Avery was trying to mount a comeback. Did you see that he had signed a ticket in the East Coast League? Maybe the Rangers were like, hey, we need another little rat out there. I love Avery. But that quietly got squashed. Did you see any of that play out, by the way? So Avery says...
I used to listen to his podcast every week, though. And when I lived in New York, listening to Sean Avery for 45 minutes gives you that same punch in the teeth that Manhattan gives you, getting into the office. And I love Avery. I mean, he's a complete and total wild card, but he reminds me of the city.
So he signed a deal with the East Coast League somewhere in Florida, and then all of a sudden Twitter blew up, and I think it was Barnaby and maybe Donald Brashear both said, hey, anybody in that division, let me play a game, sign me to a deal. And there was like DMs on Instagram and Twitter like, hey, we'll get you a deal. And then the next thing you know, Sean Avery was like released from his tryout or whatever he was coming back for. So maybe that was the reason. Who knows? But the one thing I am concerned about, though, is that PJ Fleck is going to go home and try to claim that it was his doing and getting everybody amped up and ready for that game. Did you see him do the Let's Play Hockey?
I think he's right. I watched it. I thought he did it. You know what? Minnesotans are so, God, we can't go crazy. I thought it was an outstanding effort. He was unrecognizable. It's funny, that Let's Play Hockey thing, for whatever reason, has become very parochial and like sort of polite and Minnesota nice. That was kind of the first time I saw someone try to, shotgun a beer out of a catfish. Like PJ, great effort, coach. I mean, I think it had an impact. I'm a PJ guy. He's a manifester. And that's what we do here at Stanley on 7th. We're manifesting the Wild to greatness. Why are you negative on our boy PJ, man? Right, it was great.
All right, I'll tell you why I'm negative on it, okay? So
he's preloaded. What a surprise.
No, I did appreciate the energy, and I do think he did a good job, and I think he is authentic in that, right? And he's a good speaker, good motivator. But what I don't like from watching college football, U of M football, is that he's the guy that comes sprinting in after they have a big win, and he's the one crowd surfing. So when it comes to like winning, he wants to make it about him, and it's not about the players, it's about the coach. And I've talked to my buddies about this before, and they say, hey, college sports are different than like pro sports because the only person that's there for any extended period of time that's marketable is the coaching staff. Everybody else is there for 3 to 4 years max, right? So you need to have a marketable guy that can go in there. So PJ Fleck is perfect for college football in that sense. And I think the point is valid, but I just don't like that whenever they have a big win, he finds a way to make it about him. And then he had some comments after he signed a huge ticket too that you think it's easy to deal with the pressure of making $7 million. I was like, yeah, I do feel like that would be easy. But the Let's Play Hockey, he earned a little equity last night. He brought the energy and it was good. But what are your thoughts? Have you noticed him crowd surfing after a win in your locker room? I don't know. I'm not a fan.
Okay. So we got to separate these issues, Ryan. We got to separate your
same guy.
Same
feeling. Guy. Nope. Same. Okay.
No. Okay. So keep in mind the team that we've watched struggle for the last 2 weeks. One of the things they said was they missed Matt Dumba desperately because he actually has a volume switch on his back and he brings swag and nicknames and chest bumps into the locker room. So literally this team needs energy. thank God we have about 18 home games down the stretch here. But that's what PJ brought last night. He went to the Wild's table and he set a giant brisket of enthusiasm right in the center of the table, and he threw forks to everybody. I thought he did a hell of a job. And as far as, the thing about PJ Fleck is he is PJ Fleck. You remember that scene in Revenge of the Nerds where they wake him up for school and they're already wearing their clothes? PJ sleeps in his headset. He's got his little outfit on. It's not fake. It's not an act. Whether you love him or hate him, he's 1,000% PJ Fleck. Sign me up. Let's shake up these damn Norwegians. And let's not be afraid to untuck our shirts and let's go.
Yeah,
Thank you, Coach.
I was gonna say, well, why are you waiting around for somebody else to do it? Like, you can bring the energy, you can bring the noise. Look at that shirt you got on today. That thing's nice and loud. Bring that to the games, and you get up there with the mic and start screaming, "Let's play hockey."
Dude, if the Wild let me do the hockey, the let's play hockey, I mean, I would. You would see my nipples. It would be outrageous. It would be what I'm having trouble drinking alcohol right now. I would shotgun a Four Loko. I will do whatever it takes to help the squad. I'm down with that. But I wasn't asked, and I thought PJ did a great job.
So if you were going to shotgun a beer, what kind of beer would you shotgun doing Let's Play Hockey?
I would do a Big Wood beer because they're in White Bear Lake. And actually, the thing about people forget about Big Wood is you can buy them in the liquor store. They're out there. These high-end beers, they don't come in 6-packs. We used to say Joe 6-pack when I was young. Now it's like Joe 4-pack because everybody's drinking the craft stuff. They got the Cabin Days. They got the Bad Axe. They got the Jack Savage. It's all delicious. It's all hoppy. It all tastes. It's got the density of a pulpy orange juice because this is the real beer from Big Wood Brewery. Look for it at your local Minnesota liquor store. Grab a 4-pack, stick your hands in that little plastic thing and walk out of the liquor store with some Big Wood.
16 ounce.
Nice setup.
16
ounce.
You
did better than Fox.
Yeah. Give me the podcast, Norris. No. So give us a little tease here. I'd like to see, don't show us all the nipple, but if we can start this campaign and get you to do Let's Play Hockey, and I want to see that the chest hair, maybe just a tad. I don't see any sunburn though. You gotta knock that hair down a little bit. Let the skin soak up that vitamin D. But okay, there we go. That's the ticket.
Let's not.
For
hey,
those of you that aren't watching video, he just flashed his chest and it was masculine.
You gave an insight last night that had the text thread burning, which was apparently there was some sort of prison yard drills at practice the day before with like shanks and shivs and crowbars. Like, what the hell happened and what impact did it play on the team?
Well, so
you sounded like you hadn't seen it. Like, what the hell? This is different.
All right. Towards the end of practice, the team, it's half the team in white jerseys, half the team is in black jerseys, and it's forwards and D. And they're all around the center circle, the outside of the center circle. And then 3 guys go in, centers would take the draws, the linesmen would switch sides, and the wingers would go in. But it was just a straight face-off competition battle, all 3 guys. And I think at the end of it, what was on the line was some push-ups and some skating. So the guys were trying hard and competing, but it wasn't just the center trying to win the draw. It was everybody. Everybody was taking draws. Everybody was involved. So it's kind of like a battle royale, they were getting into it, but it was pretty intense too. Like Evason's just on the periphery watching. He's got the eyes lasered. It was a very focused practice too. So it wasn't like anybody screwing around. It was like face-off boot camp. And these guys came to battle. Nobody rang the bell. None of the Navy SEALs tapped out. Good battle. But all of a sudden after the first period, the Wild find themselves 82% in the face-off circle. So all this rhetoric that the Wild can't win face-offs and they need a centerman, well, they just went and practiced it, and now it seems that they know the recipe. You just battle something, you try and practice, you get everybody on the same page, and you do pretty well. But the face-offs were not an issue last night whatsoever. They addressed it in practice. It paid dividends instantly. Like I said, 82% the first period. Then Marcus Foligno's goal was also off a neutral zone face-off win. So they won the big ones, man. But I hadn't seen anything like that. A battle drill, face-off, like whole team into it, right? Center ice, end of practice. But it worked, man.
I'm picturing like when I was playing football, like the Oklahoma drill, where you have to lay on your back and jump up and tackle the guy between the dummies. Like it sounds like a practice where everybody had water in their eyes because they're all kind of getting punched in the nose. I like this prison yard. I could see Evanston with like aviators on, walking around the prison yard, making the guys go head to head. I think we should do that more often. It seemed to work.
You know what else I think helped them get out of this funk a little bit? Marcus Foligno had some good comments, and he said, listen, I'm not going to throw cliches at you and pretend like there's no panic in the locker room. But he did kind of correctly reassure people and say, like, it's not panic, but we understand, like, there's an urgency. Our game isn't where it needs to be. Kind of enough is enough. And they go in or they come out against the Rangers and they play a really solid game. But for me, what would probably turn the page a little bit, I think, was Evason. And this is in the Dallas game. Dallas scores late in that one to tie it. They challenge goalie interference. It was really a bad challenge by Evason. And then to start the second period, Dallas comes out and scores right away on the power play. So all of a sudden that goal turns into 2 because of the mistake. And then Dallas is kind of off to the races and the Wild never catch up. Well, Evason kind of jumped on that one and said, hey, that's on me. That was a bad challenge. So at that moment, the team, which has been a really solid team for a long time, but now Evason was like, okay, he's trying to get everybody else like back in the fold. He kind of jumps in the mix and is like, okay, now we've all made some big mistakes here, right? Now we're all back to square one. We're in it together, all of us again. We really are. And I think that mistake from Evason, I don't think it was intentional at all, but I do think it helped bring everybody back together and say, okay, there's some pressure that's been alleviated here. Coaches understand that things are tough and everybody makes a mistake. Our coach made one. We love this guy. Let's go bail him out and have a good game. And they certainly did. So again, Evason, I thought so great at pressing the right buttons early on in the season. He's starting to find it again now.
I love it. We should talk. Okay, so we had the win last night against the backup goalie. It felt exquisite. Before that, we had Dallas, Buffalo,
Philly.
The Buffalo loss was weird. It just felt like an NHL game from the 70s. Like it was just sloppy, and it seemed like everybody that scored against us was like a former Minnesota Gopher. Like it was just kind of creepy. But I guess we got another dumpster dive session against Detroit and Columbus before Nashville, my boogeyman. But in some ways, Yzerman's building the team, the prototype. He's building this giant back end. He's got this Cider or whatever his name is. Dylan Larkin's a tough customer. It'll be interesting to see with our full lineup going against Detroit and Columbus. Can we get a pair of wins? What does that look like in these next 3 games? Because we have been on a losing streak. We just won 1. It felt really good, but we got to get the mojo going properly now.
I wish it was the schedule will set up the opposite to where they were playing Columbus first and Detroit second. Detroit has given up, I forget who, they gave 10 goals up like 2 games ago to, I can't remember which club it was. Maybe it was Toronto. So they gave up 10 to Toronto. Yeah. And then last night they gave up 9, I think, to Arizona. So they're reeling right now. They can't keep the puck out of their net. And Cider, I think, he'd probably have my vote for the Calder Trophy. He's been great. Matt Boldy's on the rise, obviously. A little home cooking there, but I think they're going to go in and they're going to play fine. Everything's going to be fine against Detroit. They've hit their stride. Now it's a matter of sticking with it. I don't think Detroit. I don't think they're that scary. It's not like a trap game or anything like that. But Columbus is legitimately good and stingy. You look at it on paper and they're not sexy. They don't have stars. I mean, I know they have Patrick Laine, but if you can name somebody else on that roster, I'll be surprised, right? Like there's not many. You've got the D-man, Werenski, that's good. But up front, they just don't have a lot of notable players, right? But they battle hard, and they're the same Columbus Blue Jackets that Tortorella had. So tight checking team. They're gonna pull you into the fight, and it's gonna be a complete grind. And at the end of the night, if that game's a coin flip, they're happy. But more often than not, that game is a coin flip. So I don't like that the Wild are gonna have to go in on the second of a back-to-back and have to play like a hard, grinding, stingy hockey game. But hopefully against Detroit, they find a way to come out, put 7 up on the board, because it seems to not be that hard against Detroit right now, then kind of coast, so they're not fatigued and tired. I do think that in the Wild win a game, it's funny how it goes from the Wild, they're so great, we don't want to mess up the chemistry, like a podcast ago, to all of a sudden there was a little bit of panic just 2 weeks later, right? Now they have one win, and it kind of seems like, okay, they're back a little bit. Like Ryan Hartman scores, Kaprizov looked good, Kevin Fiala had 2, the Grief line's intact, Matt Dumba had a nice open hit, and Cam Talbot made saves. Like, they're back, right? So, I'm excited to see how that goes. There's no panic there, but I'd rather see them have that switch a little bit. And at times, I think the Wild get a little tired. Some of the older guys, I think, have shown some fatigue a little bit down this stretch. But that's my concern only with this run.
Yeah, and to me, it's not even about being back, like in terms of winning a game. I go back to that Foligno glove shake. It's just, there's like winning, and then there's like feeling it. And the boys were feeling it yesterday. Yeah. And I think when you feel it, you can go on a run. I'll be the first to have egg on my face if we stub our toe against Detroit and Columbus here. But that was the first time in a long time I saw them feeling themselves. You're blowing kisses to each other. It was awesome.
They had the swagger back. They had the swagger back. And I mean, I don't know how you pinpoint it or figure out exactly what it was, but it was like a switch was turned and boom, they had that feeling and their swagger back. It was, you could see it, right? Like, you could see it in their game, the way they were playing. And I don't know if it was simply Jordan Greenway. Now, they struggled without him. And a lot, I saw, by the way, this is kind of funny. If you rewind to some of the issues when the Wild went on their skid, what was it about? I saw some people say, well, they never should have gotten rid of Victor Rask, and things started to go sideways as soon as Rem Pitlick got picked up on waivers, or, the Wild trade away the Hamburglar and the goalie start to struggle a little bit. So that was kind of comical. I can't pinpoint what it was, but I think you can pinpoint and say, man, maybe there's some legitimacy to the fact that Jordan Greenway somehow is a spark for this club.
Well, it's funny. That line, if it's all 3 of them, it's 100. If you're missing one of them, none of them kind of work on their own. Foligno on the top line is just super weird. It doesn't even, to the eye test, it just doesn't look right. And so when he gets back, if like Zook is out of the lineup, or one of those 3 guys on the wood chipper, the whole thing gets messed up. So I guess we got to stay healthy, knock on wood. I wanted to ask you this. So Russo wrote kind of a clickbait article, and the word fragile. It was like, Wild are fragile. All bets are off for trade deadline. I don't subscribe to The Athletic, but I was like, this is like chum in the water for Minnesota sports fans. Like, like fragile. And did you read that thing? Do you know, what was all of a sudden this team that loves each other and is special is rotten at the core? Like, what did he write?
Well, that's what we're fighting, right? Like that's the sentiment we're fighting. And I think over time, if we were to track like the comments or the engagement on an article like that, we could probably measure how well we're doing, because I think that fans are still cautious to jump on board, and they still can't wait for that moment to say, see, I told you so. and protect themselves from being invested in a sports team in Minnesota. I still hear it on the Sport Talk radio. Like, that's what you get. This is the Wild collapse. This is Minnesota sports coming to fruition. How dare I think that this club was something different? And for whatever reason, I mean, even if you listen to like Fan Line after the game on my way home, you know, you get these people that call in, and I mean, I'm actually curious. I'd like to ask you whether you think it's the same people calling every time, and they're just yo-yos up and down, and they just panic, or they're just all in, or if it's like a different subgroup of people where there's people that are into it, and then there's all the people that come out of the woodwork when they're struggling and just poke and prod and fuel the fire. But I think that you read that article and it's all about engagement, right? Like, people engage with that one. And I think writers in Minnesota know that negative narrative that say, hey, this club is collapsing, people just jump on board with.
It's all over the state. You know, I'm a Gopher hockey fan. There's a group of people that can't get over the fact that the Big Ten started hockey like 100 years ago, right? So they basically hate watch Minnesota and take pictures of Mariucci, you know, comparing it to 1994 when we didn't have a pro team, right? And this tweet was sent to me. This guy says, I don't know enough about hockey to know if I should be pissed about the Wild or if they were playing way above their head for 4 months. 227 likes. I think, sadly, there's more people chasing the ambulance content than there are. If we're the righteous gemstones of the Wild, if we're trying to manifest that Stanley Cup down 7th Street, there's a whole lot of people that are just waiting to have their heart broken and be like, see, I told you.
Right.
I knew it would happen. Same old Minnesota. And that sucks.
It does suck. But if I was those people and I wanted to maybe hedge my bets or protect myself a little bit, I'd maybe buy some insurance and protect my assets, my love, my help. And if I were to
go to a hockey guy,
I would go to a guy that I trust, a guy that knows a thing or two. And a hockey guy might be exactly that. I'm talking about Andy Hedlund, thehockeyagent.com. He can handle your auto insurance, your home insurance, any personal line insurance. He's got your back. And yes, he's a hockey guy. Former Maverick, Minnesota State, horns up, #1 college team in the country. He's a proud alum. He's actually coaching in the tournament this weekend. Maybe we'll have to get him to get a wild hair. You can get on your video the all hockey hair team, but assistant coach for Maple Grove, so he'll be on the bench. Hockey dad. But yeah, thehockeyagent.com. That's Andy Hedlund. Give him a call, 763-537-4949. He'll have you covered like Jared Spurgeon had Artemi Panarin covered.
I don't feel like I did much for you there. The goal, like the puck was already in the net and I hit it with my stick. I'm sorry. I was in your way.
So it was
you did fine on your own.
It was like that one time where Eriksson Ek pulled the stick back for Boldy's hat trick. That was my third goal and you just decided to get a stick on it.
It was the opposite. Yeah, it was exactly like that. Hey, can we talk about the Russian for a minute? 97.
Yeah.
Okay. Unlike everybody else, our mission is 114 points. We want him to pass Bobby Smith. We want to fill the North Star-shaped hole in our hearts. He's playing great. He got off to a good start early. I know you were frustrated that he was saving his magic for the third period, and these guys needed energy early. PJ Fleck took care of that. But the thing I want to point out is so the play where Keandre Miller just basically
dropped him,
did the Indiana Jones to him. It was like Kirill was swinging the knife, and then he just shot him down to the ground. They ran a second clip of that. I filmed it on my phone. I'll send it to you. But they show Kirill, and I don't know if you saw this, Ryan. He's falling down, and he's just smiling.
He's laughing.
He's laughing, going, touche. Like this guy is having so much fun playing hockey. By the way, the helicopter, I think an old person dies in Florida every 7 minutes and gets helicoptered to a hospital. So every time you hear a copter, it means somebody went face down brown in a sand trap here. But I just loved seeing him smile, even though he kind of got smoked on that play. And then the only thing I was going to ask you is, it seems like he plays like a center, right? Like the guy gets the puck behind the net all the time. Is he our number one center? I mean, what am I missing?
Yeah.
I know he doesn't take faceoffs, but what an animal.
Bill Guerin says that too, that you don't you don't have to have the traditional number one center. That's your setup guy, right? That distributes the puck and gets it out to the wings, and then your two wingers have big shots and go straight lines down the ice and shoot and score, right? Like you don't have to have that anymore. And I think Kirill Kaprizov probably is one of the guys that breaks that mold. But I do think he's the guy that he's got to carry the puck through the neutral zone. On Hartman's goal, that's exactly what he did, from his own end to the offensive end. Draw a guy, nice drop pass, pushes the D back, opens up the lane for the shot, and then next thing you know, it's in the back of the net. A lot of that stuff, I think, at times can go unnoticed. But what's crazy about watching Kirill for me lately is how he really doesn't make mistakes. Like he's always got the puck. He's trusted to make plays. He makes them around blue lines and in dangerous spots, but he executes them. Like very rarely, if ever, do you see him turn the puck over. And for a coach, that has to be an absolute dream. Like Evason just knows, hey, I've got this superstar that I can go out and play him. And no matter what, like he not only is he like a game-changing kind of guy offensively, he never costs them. Like he's never the reason that the puck is in the back of their own net. Right? Like there's never a glaring example of a missed coverage or a bad turnover. I mean, it's kind of remarkable, the stretch of hockey that he's been on and how he's been able to produce offensively and how often he has the puck and how often he's making plays, but almost never makes mistakes. I mean, it's fun to watch.
I hope people appreciate it too, because we are watching a world-class hockey talent in the state of hockey. We're watching the guy that changed the franchise. He's hope in a bottle. He plays hard. He loves it. He seems to be a guy that likes cold weather and fish, and he might just love Minnesota. I don't know, man. I just thank God for Kirill Kaprizov every day. When you sit down for grace in your meal, you should thank God for Kirill Kaprizov. He is so important for this team.
Can we take a second to talk about the state high school hockey tournament?
You got it.
So I'm curious. This is odd timing for you to be on vacation. Is the thought process to get like in a Zen state of mind so that you have complete clarity for your big moment in the all hockey hair team?
I've done it remotely a lot. I actually like it remotely because it's like, in a weird way, if it gets over the wall to me, I know it's even more interesting. I do have a lot of people that help me, including our heel, Big K. He helps me put the thing together. He sends me the lineups, I got some. I'm really excited this year because we were kind of, the Mullets were at half mast last year. We had no cameras on the ice, no real fans in the building. And I am just excited to come back to full throttle and the full joy of the greatest high school tournament on earth. I'm proud to offer a little salad sideshow for people. I got a great theme this year. I got a great sponsor. I think it'll feel a little bit, the sun will be shining on the hockey hair team this year. You'll see a little influence of vacation in the theme.
Are our Minnesota Wild going to be incorporated at all? Like, is there going to be? Can we find a way to get Kirill in there? Like, Minnesotans love Kirill, but if they could find a way to get him into the high school hockey bubble, man, I think that would just take him to a new level.
Well, he was in it last year. I think you helped me with that on the lettuce line. Believe it or not, we used to have a thing called the lettuce line with Rask and Zuki. I guess that was the three. It was funny, the Wild were on they were in kind of a tough spot the last 2 weeks. So I wasn't asking for hockey hair videos from the Minnesota Wild.
Hey, I know things are going tough.
I could maybe ask them today, but at this time, I do not know that there will be a lot of Minnesota Wild representation because I was nowhere near asking them, hey, coach, you just lost 7 out of 8. Could a couple of your guys take an iPhone down to the Excel and film something for a guy that grades adolescent boys' hair? No, I didn't even ask, man. I did ask, but barely. So I don't know. I don't know if the Wild will be in it or not.
Yeah, all right. That makes sense. I can totally relate to being fearful of asking when times are tense. You know, that's a slippery slope, it seems. But hey, let's go back to celebrity lookalikes for the Minnesota Wild. I was sitting around yesterday and somebody goes, "Hey, who's that? Who's your podcast partner again?" I said, "John King, you know, the all hockey hair team guy. He's the creator, mastermind."
Oh, no.
And they said, "You know who he looks like? He looks like the like a twin of Matt Zuccarello." Have you been told before that you look like Zuki?
I love Zuki. I was worried about what you were going to say. I've had all kinds of stuff. Gary Gaetti, that's a little tough, hot corner. The best I could ever do, Ryan, ever, and I don't even know if anyone ever said this. I might have said it to myself, but the apex would be Patrick Sharp. If I could drop about 40 lbs, you know, maybe I will. You know, maybe I'll shave my chest hair, get back on it. I haven't heard that about Zuki, but I love me some Zuki, so I'll take that as a compliment.
I've heard it a couple times now that it's the hair, the look, like a quick glance, and is that Zuki?
Big nose, you know, got to have a prominent nose.
Maybe this podcast should be changed to the Big Nose Pod.
And they keep growing your whole life. Did you know that? I remember my dad telling me that at dinner once when I was little, and I was sort of like, is that a warning, or why is he telling me that? What?
Isn't it ears?
What do you mean?
Your ears and your nose don't stop growing your whole life. I don't know if that's gravity that's doing that or what. In my case, it's certainly gravity weighing on this bad boy. But
somebody died. Hold on.
Another one bites the dust.
I wonder how. Probably in the water aerobics. Another one.
Aqua aerobics.
Hey, Hartman shaving. Okay, so I'm a guy who loves me some stubble. So Hartman never really has a beard. Does Hartman normally shave with an electric razor to keep his 5 o'clock shadow? And then he just used a real razor as a slump buster? Do we know anything about this? Because it's working. He has a bunch of points.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to change it up. And that's funny. I think that's all he did was a different look, hit the reset button. But I'd have to think that he maintains it with not like a electric razor, but like an electric trimmer, like somebody that you'd have at the salon, right? Like a number 2 or something like that, and buzz it so it all looks even. Seems like he trims it that way. I don't know when he knocked it right down to the wood what he went with. He strikes me as the kind of guy that would be a boss and do it with like a straight razor, you know, just
maybe a half face blade. Is that what it was?
That's what I mean. Yeah, like the barber just flip it open and then just kind of shave it down himself, because he is a little bad. He is a little ratty, and he probably does have like a switchblade on him at some point, right? Like at all times, like you could pull one out of anywhere. But I don't know how he knocked it down.
Do you think Hartman has a pistol in his glove box?
No, I don't, because I don't think he's a pistol kind of guy. I think
just a knife,
a shank. He might have like a telescoping wand that he could beat you with or something, but I don't think he's like a pistol guy.
A telescoping wand?
Have you ever seen those from the police? Like they used to have the nightsticks, and now it just kind of looks like, I don't know. It's just like a telescoping wand, and they whip it.
So you're telling me that you believe the concentric circles of a shiv and a telescoping wand overlap at Ryan Hartman? Wouldn't you have gone with broken bottle before telescoping wand?
Yeah, but I was just thinking like he's hiding it. He's masking it like out of his stick or out of something in the car. Like just a weapon appears. Like you don't think it's a weapon, and then it is. That's what I'm getting at.
Hartman doesn't. I bet if you went on a date with Hartman, he doesn't talk at all. But you feel safe. You know, he maybe gets butter in the middle of the popcorn. I bet he takes you to a drive-in, And then it's like a good time, but he never says anything the whole time. You're just like, your dad's like, was it fun? And you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's a mystery.
Speaking of drive-ins, I took my daughters to the game on Sunday. So it was my youngest daughter's first
to the
Wild
Dallas game?
Yeah, to the Dallas game.
Ooh. And you have a problem with PJ Fleck. Jesus. They stay hot, Carter girls.
Yeah, right. But no, they had a lot of fun. Their favorite part was at the very start. The Wild revamped the laser show on the ice. So they turned down the lights, little music, the laser show. The girls were in awe. They loved that. Your mini donut line, I have to say, was nowhere near as long as you had described it. I haven't taken a lot of games in on the concourse level, but man, we were the only ones there. Now, hold on. You do have to do it different with kids, I think. At least I did. So it was just me with my 3 daughters. We watched until the first TV timeout, and then we go get a snack. So I'm not walking the concourse during intermission, which I'm sure the line is long then.
That's no, that doesn't count. You got to see it during an intermission.
You can't. Okay, that's cool. But with a 9, 7, and 5-year-old and their attention span, I couldn't be. And I was the only one with eyes on them. And they walk slow and they're taking everything in. One of the kids would have been lost going the wrong direction, so I had to do it during play. But we bought the bucket of mini donuts. My only gripe was there wasn't enough in there. We need that bucket full. We need that bucket full of mini donuts.
They are pillowy though, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're like so most mini donuts look like a tire. These look more like a ball. They're more of a sugar sphere.
I think they're a little dense too. So the girls had a bunch, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Dad, I got to tap out. No more of those."
Dad, will you cut off my foot? Yeah. Hey, when you said you had a 9, a 7, and a 5-year-old, I immediately thought like, oh, a 9 and a 7-year-old like Kirill. And then I wanted to like have the 5-year-old not go to the game. Is that weird? Like, that's how into the Russian I am.
I'll be honest with you. That is weird. That is, but it has gone that way before.
To the 5-year-old, but like you have 97, like right there. You won't have. It's like February 22nd, 2022. There's not that long that you'll have a 97 in the house.
No, that's true. Maybe the playoffs they have to go to every game. But the 5-year-old first game, she got her certificate and a stick. She lost her stick, so we left in tears. But I feel like that's every game with a 9, 7, and 5-year-old. If you go with 3 kids,
what did she lose?
Her hockey stick, because they give a little mini stick as like a memento for your first game. That attended as a weapon.
The thing. I saw the little thing you go to the picture.
Yeah, you get
your picture taken.
Yeah, and then you get like a little mini stick to take home. She lost it, so we went home in tears. But great experience. Laser Show was their version of the drive-in. So if you got kids, bring them to the game. It was a lot of fun, man.
That's good. So that was their first game.
That was the 5-year-old's first game. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't a great game. I hate losing to Dallas too, because it seems more personal. It's like the guy that used to date your mother comes back and like it's just the worst.
Is that because of the suitor element right now, or is that the North Star hole size or North Star hole in your heart?
I tell you, I will say, Mr. Suter, he played a lot of minutes in that game, and I really felt they shadowed Kirill. I was at the game when Kirill had about 4 or 5 points against them early in the year. From a defensive pairing standpoint, one of the D was shadowing 97. And Suter's an interesting guy because there was a couple moments where he sort of squared off with Kirill, who's no slouch himself. And Ryan has that dad strength, man. There was a few moments where you could see him move him. I don't know. I thought he played well against us. But yeah, it's kind of the combo of the North Star thing and Jamie Ben to our Jordy Ben. We lost one.
Another one bites the dust. No, I'm with you, man. Ryan Suter, I don't know. He is a strong guy. I don't know that he can put 200 pounds on the bench press and do that, but he could probably lift a refrigerator just with ease, right? And carry it up the stairs. He does have like that man strength, that farm strength. I don't know what it is, but it's pretty funny actually. But I did
you see a couple of those plays with Kirill where I've never really seen somebody sort of not ragdoll him, but like control him and move him. He was doing that to 97, which was kind of rare.
Well, I've seen Suter do that a bunch over the years. Like he somehow has a ton of strength with just one hand on his stick too. Like he can win a lot of single-handed battles, and you're like, how is he doing this? And it doesn't make sense, but there were a couple times where he got some extra attention too. Like I saw Marcus take a couple runs at him. He and Bukestad got into it a couple of times. So no love lost. I think they had a chat in the hallway after the game, but while it was on, it was pretty intense between those guys out there. But Wild brought it, man.
Yeah, I was wondering, when you went to the game with your daughters, did you get hurt, arrested, or fired?
No, what I was going to say though is it seems like if somebody is following around, like they've got somebody with eyes on Kirill all the time, and maybe there's somebody that's about to get arrested or something, they're about to make a sting operation come to life. What would you do if you were in a sting operation and got arrested?
Well, I think I would call Wachtler Law, WACHTLER law.com. Guy's been doing it for 25 years. Fiercely independent, afraid of nobody. I think you kind of, when you get yourself into a pickle, I think you might want to write Wachtler Law in pen on the inside of your hand. So when you've had a little boo-boo, you know who to call, and maybe he can make it all go away. That's the goal anyway. He's also a hockey guy. So WachtlerLaw.com.
Nice.
You got to finish carts.
Nicely done. Yeah, I do. So Mikko Koivu jersey retirement is coming up on the weekend. A couple of big people and alumni coming to town for it. I don't think I can reveal that yet. I think it's a secret. So as to who's coming to town, but should be a lot of fun. What are your thoughts on the jersey retirement? I think it's going to go smooth. I don't think the Wild have really cut corners on it. We've seen a couple already this year. Wild were involved in the Henrik Lundqvist one. Rick Nash had his in Columbus. Now we've got Mikko's. Are you looking forward to it?
Well, this is a hard one for me. Everything I've ever heard about Mikko is he's the consummate captain, absolutely wonderful guy, great at faceoffs, kind of a crabby Finn his whole career. And I know everybody loves this guy. They love him. I'm of the belief that you only retire jerseys after you win Stanley Cups. So I'm a little torn on that aspect of it, but that's not my business and that's not my decision. So, it's happening. I wish him I hope he has a wonderful day. I hope the Wild go out and pound on Nashville. And I hope it's everything he wants it to be. And they have an amazing weekend and put the first jersey into the rafters. Unless you count number one for the fans, which is something I also don't like. But yeah, I hope it's a wonderful weekend for him. I've heard nothing but good things about the guy.
Well, it's worth it for me because he's not a public speaker. I think he actually hates the spotlight. He hates it so much that he tries to keep, as he was the captain, he tried to keep the spotlight out of like the Wild room in general, right? Like he just doesn't want attention going places he doesn't think it should. And I think he's in belief that he should not be in the limelight, but he's got no choice here tonight or that night. It's going to be all about him. Looking forward to the speech. I'm going to see if I can't talk him into wearing a heart rate monitor, and I want to live tweet what it is as he's about to start speaking, and see. It's going to be good. But I think his family's going to be in town. It's a special night. Like think about that hockey. Saku Koivu, Mikko Koivu. Saku had a wonderful career. Mikko now getting his jersey retired. Mikko's the little brother. Saku maybe scored a few more points. He played in Montreal. So now I'm curious to see or maybe chat with Saku a little bit on how that sibling rivalry has gone, how it's played out. Like with the jersey being retired, that's a big check on Mikko's side of the scoreboard. So I think it's going to be cool.
Do you have any Mikko stories?
Well, no.
You have one?
Yeah, there's 1,000 Mikko stories. You can't share them. But he's always one of those guys in the locker room that it was routine based too, and he'd have to do the same thing like at the same time all the time. So Tricky would have to bring him a Coke after each period, and he liked that small ice. So, I think you get those little Gatorade cups, and he'd drink a Coca-Cola. So a warm Coca-Cola.
Regular Coke.
Regular Coca-Cola. poured into a Gatorade cup with a small ice, and he'd have it hand delivered in the intermission, right at the exact same time. So you could count down the clock, see when it was coming. Coke is delivered. There it is. But I want during this ceremony too for Tricky to just come out of the Zamboni tunnel, like halfway through it at the exact time on the clock, and deliver the Coke to Mikko, because that's one thing I'll never forget is how he'd have to sip on that Coca-Cola just the right way in between the intermission. But that would be great. That would be great if all of a sudden somebody delivers a Coke in a Gatorade cup with a small ice for him to finish that final stretch of his speech.
I wonder if we'll see Teemu come to town. He's sort of like if Finland had an F1 driver, he might be the coolest Finn that ever lived. Maybe there'll be a white tuxedo walking around, Teemu putting his sword on the shoulder of Mikko.
Dude, it's crazy how all the Finns stick together, though. I think that Jarmo Kekalainen, the GM of Columbus, is going to be there. Backe, obviously the Wild's goaltender from back in the day. That I think I can share that one. He's going to be in town. I don't know of other Finns, but man, they have a way of sticking together. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if Teemu jets in. But no, I had a chance to play with Teemu too. He does nothing. He shows up early for absolutely nothing. He comes in the final minute, F1, full speed. He had a garage full of like muscle cars, Ferraris, you name it. And he'd show up to the rink in Anaheim. Let's say there's a 9:00 meeting. He'd get to the rink at 8:56, and he'd be jumping into his stall, getting into his undergear at 8:59. Coach would walk in, and Teemu would throw the hair back all of a sudden like he's been there for an hour. None the wiser. Never late, but never early. Teemu Selanne, everything he did was fast.
I was out in Laguna with my buddy, and we were asking the best place to go where all the pretty people are. And they said, there's this steakhouse, Selanne's. And I was like, no way. Yeah, apparently Teemu tossed up some drywall and basically made the coolest place in Laguna, California with his name on it. Yeah, what did the guy score? 70 goals as a rookie?
Yeah.
When I was at Boston College, the All-Star game was on an aircraft carrier. They had a party there, and my buddy ran video for the Bruins. And I remember being in a party, and Teemu was there, and he was a rookie. And yeah, he was just, that guy's he's like James Bond of Finland. I hope he comes in. If he does, man.
So I was
try to touch him and don't wash and then touch me.
I was a rookie in Anaheim, and he invites the club to his house, and it's a compound, Southern California. The house is beautiful. You go through the garage, and he's got, like I said, the sports cars, the muscle cars, the motorcycles, everything in there. But then you walk out back, and he has a pool that looks like a theme park pool, like waterfalls, huge rocks, unbelievable. You go down to the left a little bit, and he's got a 3-hole par 3 course in his yard. You continue down a little further. He's got a tennis court. He's got horses. He's like, yeah, you want to feed the fish? I was like, well, you have fish too? He's got a little pond out there. He's like, here, take a scoop of this dog food. Throw like a scoop of dog food in the pond, and then all of a sudden, like these huge largemouth and catfish all start to surface. They go bananas. The guy has absolutely everything. He lives his best life. But what I love about that dude is he includes everybody too. Like it's not like, hey, this is my stuff. It's like, hey, yeah, do whatever you want. Have fun. Take the motorcycle out for a rip.
Do you want to ride horses? Do you want to feed the fish? Do you want to drive the Ferrari?
You want to play golf?
Yeah, that sounds like. Meanwhile, I'm like, do you want to watch TV in the den or on your phone?
Yeah. So, all right, man. The Wild, they're back. They're off the schneid. Everybody's feeling good. Good podcast here today. Minnesota Wild, Carhartt. I like what that means. He's flexing on the hat. It's the Carhartt hat with the Wild logo. They went to work. Did a number on the Rangers. Another dumpster dive here. We're here till
it's here.
Stanley on 7th.